Well, morning. Just got an annoying job out of the way, and that's finished painting all those little window ceiling bits and pieces up there where the skylight is. All the corrugation bits are in there, had gap filler on them, let that dry, and finally finished coat of paint on them just to seal them, tidy them up. So yeah, that's a real pain in the ass job out of the way. Now I can got rid of all the boards and scaffolding on top of the layout, so I didn't crush that out of the way. So now I can get on with something a little bit more important, like that wiring. Righto, story so far. I made a bit of a sketch of the track plan in this area of the layout, marked where the wire feeders are. I thought, well, I've got to translate that into some sort of a usable control panel that's going to fit in this area here, so that I can have local control with all the tracks that are in this area. So with that, I then translated that. I got my piece of thick plastic acetate, whatever it is, board, and put paper over the top, put a margin on, and then translated my track plan into something more blockage, with all the insulation points and feeder points and all the tracks. And once I've got it on underneath on the actual board itself, I can make some little labels up to label the various tracks, and that'll cover everything. So that way I can feed into this area from all the controllers, whether it be 1, 2 or even a local one, and switch that power to whatever blocks that I need to do, and have that all nice and neat and out of the way. On the side here, the layout tucked in out of the way, probably basically on the inside of the board, so that the switches don't stick out and catch you. So that's what we're up to at the moment. I've got my track plan on the board. Now I need to go around with a centre punch and ping little marker holes in where all the toggle switches have got to go, and drill holes, and that will be next. Right, I am back. I have drilled holes according to said plan in my sheet. The holes all over the place, of course, just there, but I'll follow the plan on the sheet and join up all the holes where they should be joined up with some pinstripe and vinyl tape that I have, so we can end up with a bit of a track plan on there. Now for switches, I have lots and lots of these little miniature on, off, on toggles, double pole at the back. That way we can control each block of track with each one of these, either controller 1 or controller 2, and off in the middle, which also gives me the option. That's why I've got a couple of extra holes here, of inserting an extra control line for a local controller instead of at the main. So if you want to do some local shunting, you switch over to the local controller and do what you've got to do while the other trains are quite happily running around out in the main line. Right, cut a hole out. I've put another board in there to reinforce that so it doesn't get out of control all enough. I might put another one running horizontally underneath there as well to brace it up. We don't want our modules falling to bits. So we've got our hole, and control board will fit in there. And when the switches are in there, they're not going to stick out very far, so we're not going to intrude on our limited space we've got between modules. So that's about that there. On the back here, what I'm thinking about doing is just having a big building facade there to cover up the back of the control panel, so that it, from the other side it just looks like it's all part of the scenery. Right, we're underneath the layout. I've got all these little jumpers in these junction blocks. Red and the black, that's coming from one of the controllers, and I'll run leads from these little boxes, junction points, off to the switches, and I'll do the same for the pink and dark green, which represents the other controller up there. Put another set of these over next to those. Once we get all that in, then I can start wiring up the toggle switches to fit into the control panel. It's time consuming doing all this, but I think, well, I'll do it right now, and then if there's any little problems later on where you've got to replace something, it's a lot easier if you've just got little junction blocks rather than just a big massive soldered wires to trace around. So it's just a little bit of stitching time saves 9, I think. Somebody down the track might benefit from it. Anyway, that's the way I'm doing it. Being an old school DC guy, that's how it's done. So we'll get on with the other two sets of junction blocks and put them in and move on forward. Some time later, and I've got the red, I've got the black, that's one controller, and I've got the green and the pink. That's the second controller. I could put some more blocks in for a third controller, which I'll probably do as well, but that'll only be to control the branch line only. It won't be quite as big a job as these, but they're all in. Okay, this week's little effort so far has got up to here. The little board is in position. Got my track plan on it, and I'm using these little miniature toggle switches, these little things. The only catch is they've got tiny little terminals on the back, and I've found that they're a real pain to solder. So what I've done is I'll delay proceedings on this, and I have ordered some little spade terminals that will fit on there, and I can crimp the wire onto the spade terminals and then just slide them on, which will make life a lot easier, I think. So rather than persist with the soldering, which presents lots and lots of problems, I will wait a few days until the spade terminals turn up, and then we can get on with this thing. So that's going to have to do for this little weekly update. Apart from that, well, that's inside the shed at least. Apart from that, I have been constructing a little building, and I'll show you that inside right now. What I have been assembling this little cutie pie here, it's a false scales, tiny Lou's grill. There we go. Yeah, just a little roadside takeaway store. It's only little, as you can see up against my hands, only a couple of inches square thereabouts, but I like to hone my skills on these little kits before I get stuck into the big ones that I've got put to one side. And so this is the story so far. We've got the walls all braced and painted, joined together. One sign on there, and corner bits on, little serving window. I haven't put the doors in yet, I've only just finished painting those. But that's what we're up to at this stage. I don't like to get too carried away with the painting until I've got it all together, and then I can paint it as a whole then. I just like to get a bit of a base on, and it gives me something to work on then. But yeah, that's the story so far. I'll finish that off during the course of the week and bring you up to date next weekend with how we go. Probably be finished by then with a bit of luck.